topic that we're going to be dealing with, and then I'm going to ask you to come to the lab next week so that we just do the hands-on, whatever hands-on we have to do. We don't have anything more to talk to you about. Just going to give you one last assignment, and then so that is 3 coding assignment, and then 1 small lab. I'm calling it a lab test. Just so that you make sure so you know who I have the PLC, because we have 3 different set of people who work with PLC. The ones who write the program, and the ones in the plant who maintain the PLC. So this is a brief introduction to all 3. So it don't make sense to teach you a code, and you don't know how to wire up the PLC. So we need to talk about that. Alright, so everybody hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So today we want to talk about CX Designer. And what CX Designer is an on-screen alternative, and it can also be touchscreen. But we just then on-screen alternative to using the switches and the different outputs and output indicators that you can have for your when you're doing your PLC. So let's open up and just talk about the different aspects. Alright, so not putting any title on the project. We have to call it test. Don't bother. So like I said, what CX Designer does is provide you with a computer screen that you use to link to your computer program, to your PLC program. So if you look over here, you see that they have a on and off switch, red button, bit lamp, all the various types of inputs that you might need whenever you're writing a program. So let us assume that let me come out of this and just go to a simple PLC program. So let me come out of this for a little bit. Write a simple PLC program. So it's just going to be a program with a start switch, a stop switch, a motor, I'm going to use the same start switch. Connect it to a timer. And I'm going to the timer to the data memory. That device alright, so this is the program. There. Leaving that alone for a time. So we basically have a start connected to a timer, and it is connected to an output, the motor. So that is the program that we want to control, and we are saying that we want to control that program. If I forget it, so I have to share it. So we have to control that program from the CX Designer board. So, first thing, we have the several other boards from the CX Designer interface. So, we have a screen, just like the screen that you see at the bank and all those other things. And so, we just want to discuss today how you put together that screen. Alright? So, first thing that you'll have for the screen that you put in to control it is you'd want to put your a message that says whatever it says. So let us say that you say welcome to the new test screen. So normally you'll put up your label. Anything that you're going to do, you're going to put in apply, and you're going to press OK, so that you get your whatever it is going to say, whatever it is that you want it to say. So you might not like the color, you might want to change the color of the background. Alright, so the label, you put what you want to put in there. Things like frame is how you want the thing to look and what color you want it. So I am going to pick some arbitrary colors just for argument's sake, just to illustrate what you pick your frame size, how big you want it to be, etc. Alright, apply, okay, so you make it look however you want it to look. Alright, so we have two switches. You have a start and a stop. So we go to the push buttons and then we'll have to pull out two of them. Try to make them look as similar as possible. Alright, so you can change the color. this is not allowing me any leeway with that. Alright, most important thing, label. So the first switch that we have here, well, not the most important, one important thing. So we have to label the switch to say what kind of switch it is. Start switch, stop switch, whatever the switch is. Same thing with the frame. As we will pick a color and so forth for the frame. Right, so when you put in that the switch is start, and it would have the color for the frame. Alright, now going back to the original, the general. Again, you pick whatever shape that you want it to be, whether you want it to be circle. If you pick a circle, it's going to come out circular. Alright, so you pick whatever shape you want to apply to it and how you want it to look. Alright, but before we change from that, I'll go back to where it was. Alright. Leaving it as a rectangle. Going back to this. The most important thing is this here, where the address to which we are going to attach it to. So it's a start switch. So on our PLC, the start switch is 000.00. So although it's good, this says default that the address is 000. So even if I type in 000 and it 00 would be there, and I press OK, then it will come out. That will be the address that we want to apply for that one. I'm leaving out something very important. But when it is on, what color you want it to be on, and what color do you want it to be when it is off? If you're choosing to pick a color when it is on and when it is off. Alright? And now, like I said, the most important thing is the address. So we click on the set. What we do is just change this to the stop switch is 000.01. That what we do, keep the word at 0, bit at 1, and if you check, now you see that it is 00001. You say apply and it's OK. Alright. We want to know if our motor is on or off. That is one of the things that we would want to work out, whether our motor is on or off. We'd want to something on the screen to visually indicate whether our motor is on or off. So we are going to go to pick out one of these outputs. So we pick out a bit lamp. So what the bit lamp does is indicate whether the motor is on or off. And same thing again. So the first thing that we're going to do is set the address. So it is 0, 1, 0, so I'm going to put in a 1, 1, 0, 0, and it is 0, 0. So when we click apply, and we see that it comes out as 0, 1 with the 2 zeros at the end. Alright? So that is the address for the motor. 1 second, let me go back and set it. Because it's supposed to be 1, 0. Alright, so 0, 1, 0, not 0, 0. So that is the most important thing that we have to set for the motor, the address. Alright, the color and the shape and those things you can select and decide how you want it to look. The other thing that you would want to do, other important thing, is you want to say that this is the motor. So it's a lamp that indicates whether the motor is on or off. Alright, so like I said, the color, the shape, and how it's going to look, that is up to you, and your aesthetics and what you decide that you want to do. Alright, now the next important thing is that when I written the program, I should have made the point again that I connected it to the timer. Not, I didn't put number sign, 100 or whatever, I put data memory. And data memory 0. So in other words, alright, so when I had the timer, everybody seeing the program that I have here?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so the timer has data memory 0 here. So the value that I'm going to put in the timer, I have to put into the data memory. Alright, so how do I put in that value from the data memory? So what I would do, I would have one of the inputs. The general thing that we use for the input is a thumb wheel switch or one of the numerical inputs. So let me take out the thumb wheel switch. Most students are much better at aesthetics than me. So before we deal with the most important thing, which is the address that we have to set, well, let's deal with it first and foremost. So remember now, I didn't see it. Let me go back. This thumb wheel is, I'm going to connect it to the data memory D000. So what will happen is that I can change the value that I put in data memory by clicking on the plus or the minus on this thumb wheel. Alright, so there are other ways to input data, but I'm just dealing with, but the principle is the same for all of them. Now, let me just bring out at the same time a numerical display output. So when I'm going to connect this numerical display, and what this numerical display does, what I would want it to do in my program is display what is in the data memory, the value that is in data memory. That's what I would want it to do. Alright, so the value that I'm putting in data memory, I would want to see if that is the value. So this is a numerical display that I would pull out to see what is the value that is in the data memory. So this is the input and this is my output for the data memory. So I can see what I'm putting into data memory and what I'm taking out of, seeing what is in the data memory. Alright, so let's go back to the input. So the most important thing now is to say, I need to connect the address that I'm connecting it to. So what is here as the address? I need to set the address. So it has CIO command input output here. That is the physical inputs and output, but I want data memory. So I'm going to go and click data memory. And it is already 0. So I'm just going to leave it at 0. So it's data memory, and the address of the data memory is 0. So you see that it comes up as data memory 0000. Alright, now the display type. I don't want a decimal. Sorry, I want a decimal. I don't want a signed integer, sorry. That's what I mean. I want unsigned integer. Signed integer means that it can take positive and negative values. So I don't want a signed integer, I want an unsigned integer. And I don't need the format to be 5 digits. So I need 3 digits. So I'm going to change it to 3 digits. So when you apply that and press OK, you see that is a 3-digit number, and the minus that used to be there is gone. So let me just put it back. When you use integer, signed integer, and it was at 5. You see it comes with a minus, and it has 5 numeral. So if you change it, let us say that I wanted 3 integers and 2 decimal places, just for argument's sake. You see that it comes out with the 3 integers and the 2 decimal places. So you determine what you want. Alright? So you put in data memory and you put in all the values, and you're basically good to go here with the numerical input. Alright? So you can pick your color again. If you want an ugly color. Alright, same thing we're going to do for the output display. Again, we want an unsigned integer, and it's 3 digits we want, and the data memory, we want it to be connected to the data memory, and the data memory that is connected to, that's going to display as 0. So that would be our, and like I said, this is the most basic thing that I am talking about. Connecting to data memory, connecting your display to display what is in data memory, etc., etc. That is how you set up your circuit. Now, there are a whole lot of other features that are there, but the basic principle is the same for all of them. You'll go through and you can see how you can use it and do a whole lot of different things. So now my PLC program, I just went to the online simulator to check. Was giving a bit of problems since I had some computer problems. So you would go to the PLC, you would transfer the program to the PLC. You go to the simulator and work the online simulator, and it would do the same thing. It would transfer the program to the PLC, etc., etc., etc. So this program is up and running and ready for the simulation. Now remember what I had said. was that I connected the start switch to 00, the stop switch to 01, the motor is 010, and the timer in the data memory. I can put in the value for the timer in the data memory. Put the value in the data memory using the inputs that I have. So I have this program here, and I have the screen that I'm using to connect with the program. So so now the thing is to connect the two of them together. So let me go back to the designer screen. So how do you connect the screen? You connect the screen that we have here to the PLC program. Well, we cannot do the physical connection here, but what we'll do is go over to tools to connect to the PLC, press test, alright. So if you see, when we press tools and press test, it would ask us if we should connect to the simulator or connect to the PLC. Well, in this case, we don't have a physical PLC, so we're going to just test and see if it is simulating, if we have done everything properly. So we connect it to the simulator to simulate what it's supposed to happen. You notice that it says 64. And let me go back to my PLC program. I put in 100. So the point about it is that if you're going to use it as is, then you have to convert it, and the value that you're putting in, you're going to put here. You're going to have to realize that the PLC is going to write it in hexadecimal, unless you go into the memory and tell the memory that it is decimal values, right? So this 100 here, it is converted to the hexadecimal value of 64. And the timer is going to time for 6.4 seconds. Alright? So let me see if I can do the... Every time I try it, it don't work. So I need to see both of them operating side by side. I'm going to press the start switch on the test mode screen. And you see, when I press the start switch on the test mode screen, we'll have to hold it down for it with the timer. Alright? So, and if I press the stop switch, then it turns off the so when you press the start, like I said, the indicator is going to come on to say that the motor is on. Press the stop, indicate that the motor. We would want to check to make sure that the display that will connect to the data memory is working. Let me just check that. So it has to correspond to a numerical value that it can read as a hexadecimal value. Right? So it's not all the values that are put into the
So what is the limit then, sir?
If there's a number that it cannot convert to hexadecimal, it's going to tell the error. That is the point that I want to make. So, like I said, this is the most basic screen. What you have to, what are the things that I'm saying that you have to make sure that you do is that all of the addresses that you have in your PLC program, you have it written in your CX designer. Whatever switches that you have that you designate, then you have to make sure that the addresses are correct and make sure that it is linked. All right. Like I said, this is just the really first and most basic introduction. Now, there are a whole lot more things that can be said and discovered about this, but I just wanted to give, like I said, a brief introduction to CX design, and so that you can use it to connect to. Alright, so like I said, over on my left there are a whole lot of switches, push button switch, labeled numerical input, data display, and a whole lot of things that you can do with your input. Alright. More than just basic, but each of them, whatever it is that you are using, make sure that it is connected to the right, either the memory or the right output. So the most important thing is to connect it to go to is your address. So the addresses that you are connecting it to. The rest of it is in terms of your aesthetics and proper instruction to whoever is going to be using it. Alright, so that is just basically what I wanted to make mention of this afternoon. I don't know if you have any questions.
So sir, when I write the program, me never catch the part where the linking of the CX programmer with the designer is assigning the address. That's the link. The addresses.
Yeah, when you assign the addresses. So when you go, each of the addresses when you set the address, you go, and if it is a physical address, meaning that is on the PLC itself, is a command area CIO, and 000 would be as is 000, and if it's an output, then you type in your 0, 0, 1, 0, or just 1, 0 to address it. So each of them, you make sure that is the correct area, whether it be data memory or CIO. Those are the two basic ones, and the addresses. So the 000 and 00 or 01, so you type in 1 or 0 or whatever it is, and that will be the link. So it is connected to the address of the PLC and in the PLC program, and the PLC is connected to the same address, so therefore they will work together.
Alright, sir.
Alright. Any more questions? Alright, so we're going to leave you all to. I'm going to post the third assignment, and like I said, next week, no matter what the issue, we're going to meet in the lab so that we have 2 sessions, and then at the end of the 2 sessions, you do a little lab test to make sure so you know who I am. So walk with the screwdriver next week.